Good morning and welcome. You're watching Newsroom and this is what we're doing. We're celebrating Mamelodi Sundowns for winning a record-extending 7th PSL title. Eben, what have you got to say about this?
I'm just happy for Peter. You know, Peter at times has a very difficult relationship with South Africa, and I'm happy that he's finally back after all of this and proven to us once again that he's a great coach and worthy of his place in South African football.
No, and I agree with you. And Renee, I mean, you saw a little bit of the social commentary?
Yes, that's right. The fans are going crazy on social media today. Everybody very excited, very happy, but we will be taking a look at some of those comments a little bit later in the show.
Elvis?
Well, I tell you, Kendall, the sky is definitely the limit for... well, is it the limit? Because that is now the top of the league, right?
That is, absolutely.
But the sun is shining today for Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the team.
Fantastic day. Congratulations to Sundowns, but the show must always go on, guys. Let's get into our positions because we've still got some work to do. Of course, don't forget, as always on Newsroom, we've got a question to you today. Now, our question today deals with male circumcision. Well, not male circumcision per se. Let's call it initiation season that is ahead of us here in South Africa. How do we prevent another deadly initiation season, it should say, but we're dealing with circumcision in a wider scenario today. So stay with us and give us that answer. Elvis, as you can see, is right on top of matters this morning. Let's go to him for a news update.
Thank you, Eben. Let's take a look at our top story this morning. President Jacob Zuma will reply to the debate over the presidency's budget today following interruptions yesterday. The Clon Board of Inquiry into the National Police Commissioner Ria Piega's fitness to hold office is this morning expected to commence with the cross-examination of Captain Monwabisi Nhlati. And 4 Limpopo MECs will meet with representatives of the Vuwani residents in Toyondo this morning in a bid to end the violence in the region, and will cross their live to a reporter a little bit later in the program. So you have to stay tuned to find out what's the latest and what's coming up from that particular story. But right now, before we get to the news, let's find out from Kendall Makamate what's happening on the sports front. A very good morning to you, Kendall.
A hearty good morning and a hearty good morning to all my Sandawana, Bafana Bastaili. You've won the championship, but I get ahead of myself. Good morning to you. This is what we've got for you in the sports today.
And the most successful club in the PSL era extends its record.
Mamelodi Sundowns win a record-extending 7th PSL title, beating Tuck 3-0, courtesy of a Lafort hat-trick.
Has led them through to the Champions League final, and they will face Atletico Madrid again, as 2 years ago. It will be the
And
Madrid
Real Madrid edged Manchester City at the Bernabeu on their way to the UEFA Champions League final.
They conceded an unfortunate goal, deflected it.
And Djokovic eases into the third round of the Madrid Open with a straight-set victory over Koric. It's a massive day for PSL fans. The title has been won, and congratulations to Mamelodi Sundowns. That's where we'll leave it for now. Back to the main desk for the news.
Thank you, Kendall. Our top story this morning. President Jacob Zuma will reply to the debate over the presidency's budget later today. Now, yesterday, he announced government's intentions to boost the economy and plans to address challenges facing the youth.
Key positive attribute for the country at this time is that government and business are working together more than any other time to find ways of reigniting growth as part of efforts to build a better life for all. We have also last year. Energy is high up on the agenda. During last year's Presidency budget vote debate, our country was facing an acute energy challenge. We have made remarkable progress since then. Government has also taken concrete and direct steps to encourage youth employment and training through public employment programs. On June 16 last year, we launched the Maramento Youth Online Membership Scheme, pairing young entrepreneurs with CEOs of companies. We are encouraged by the uptake. By April 2016, over 340,000 young people in our country were being mentored by 269 mentors.
This budget vote was meanwhile marred by disruptions from the opposition parties. Now, the EFF MPs were thrown out of the National Assembly after they tried to prevent President Jacob Zuma from opening the debate on the budget vote of the presidency.
The presidency's budget vote got off to a rocky start. This after EFF MPs tried unsuccessfully to prevent President Zuma from tabling it.
There's prima facie evidence that the president has violated the constitution.
But the speaker shot down the EFF's request. When things had calmed down, the president kicked off his speech by focusing on the country's economy.
We have taken concrete measures to reduce the negative impact of the global economic downturn on our economy and to prepare for robust growth when the economic cycle turns positive.
Referring to the gloomy global economic climate, he said government had taken concrete measures to reduce its impact on South Africa. The ruling party agreed with the president about the state of the economy.
Your calling, Honourable President, is at the time when the socio-economic situation in the country and globally is complex, depressed and depressing.
Democratic Alliance leader Musi Maimane was in full attack mode.
We cannot support a presidency budget when the president refuses to take responsibility.
Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa agreed with the president about the economy.
In his State of the Nation address in February, President Jacob Zuma called on all sectors of society to work together to address the economic challenges that we face. And he said, we cannot change the global economic conditions, but we can do a lot to change the local conditions.
Ramaphosa says the overriding concern of all government social partners is the creation of jobs. Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.
Now, small opposition parties also gave their input to the presidency's budget vote debate. Many of them focus on the state of the economy and service delivery.
The debate went on for around 7 hours. Time is allocated based on the size of each party in Parliament. So the smaller parties had to use their time wisely. And they called on the president to think carefully about how his budget is utilized.
It is surprising then when it comes to issues of service delivery. The president conducts only 5 visits per year across South Africa, and just so at a cost of 32.2 million in travel, subsistence and communication services. This speaks volumes about the priorities and costs of the presidency.
The budget we see here is not a true reflection of the cost to the office of the president and the deputy president. The true cost, Chairperson, can only be calculated when we take into consideration the expanded VIP protection surrounding the President and the Deputy President.
The Department of Defense is in the process of buying you a new aeroplane of 4 billion rand. You should stop this and show to the nation, set an example, it will not be allowed.
As we consider the President's substantial budget, calls for President Jacob Zuma to step down have come from many quarters. The ACDP fails to understand why he still refuses to heed wise counsel from people who are concerned about the future of this country.
The President will respond to the debate later this afternoon. Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.
The Clon Board of Inquiry is expected to commence with the cross-examination of Captain Monwabisi Nhlati this morning. Now, it's probing suspended Police Commissioner Ria Piega's fitness to hold office. Captain Nhlati took to the stand yesterday. He was on duty on the 16th of August 2012 when 34 miners were shot dead. Nhlati said he had clearly heard Lieutenant Colonel Scott say that the orders had come from the police national management. But Colonel Scott told the Farlam Commission of Inquiry that he was not aware of these orders. The defence wants to cross-examine Captain Nhlati and the Vuwani spokesperson Lindela Mashego. The defence asked to stand down so it could review the police captain's evidence. A developing story now. Representatives of Vuwani residents are expected to meet 4 Limpopo MECs in Thohoyandou this morning in a bid to end the violence in the region. A total of 17 schools have now been set alight in the area as the protest action continues. Residents want the Municipal Demarcation Board to reverse its decision to merge parts of Vuwani and Malamulele to form a new municipality. Limpopo Premier Stanley Matabata has appealed to the Vuwani community leaders to bring calm and restraint. Now, he has condemned the destruction of property. An interministerial team has been appointed to address the residents' concerns. Roads leading to Vuwani and Mashau remain barricaded. Now, we'll keep you updated on that story because later on we'll cross to our reporter on the scene to give us the latest. But now remember, today we have a theme looking at circumcision, and there's a question that we pose to you as to how, it'll be on your screen in a short while, as to how do we circumvent and how do we prevent another deadly initiation season this year. For more on that, let's cross to Yeben.
Yes, Elvis, a very good morning to you at home. If you've just joined us, it's an issue that's very passionate for South Africans. Last year, the Department of Cooperative Governance implemented an initiation, monitoring and intervention strategy which aims to curb initiation deaths. During last year's summer initiation season, a total number of 29 initiates died in the Eastern Cape alone. The monitoring and intervention strategy is in partnership with the Department of Health, both district and local metropolitan municipalities and the SAPS. Now, to talk to us about the plans in place for this year, we are joined in studio by the Deputy Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Mr. Obed Bapela. Very good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Okay.
Every year, it's very difficult to get a handle on the issue because there's so many complex issues. Tell us about your plan for this year as we head into winter initiation season now, and what do you think the interventions that you've put in, the fruits that you're expecting it to bear?
Thank you very much. I think it's a very difficult process that we are entering into once more, but we are more excited that the Cabinet has now finally adopted the policy on a comprehensive initiations in South Africa. That policy will then help us to come with the law, which will then deal with the details on how we are going to be keeping this, and we hope, therefore, we'll be able to fast-track the legislation based on the policy. In the main is to illegalize all illegal schools that are operating in South Africa, because most of the deaths are occurring there. We do not know who are these people running the schools. They have commercialized the whole activity, and they don't care about culture. They don't care about the lives of our own children. So the campaign, therefore, is going to be more on the awareness, whilst monitoring is going to be strengthened. And awareness is go to schools from now until the children goes in, to go and talk to them. Don't go to wrong people. Don't end up in wrong hands. Please look out as to who is the person who's given permission to run the school and who's not, so that you avoid that. But in the urban areas, it's a very big challenge because there are no traditional leaders. In most of the traditional areas, there's control. In the municipalities, there's no control because a lot of municipalities don't even have bylaws. And in Johannesburg particularly, we had found in Gauteng 300 illegal schools last year with an average of 20 children in each school, which gives you almost over 1,000 of children that were found there illegally in those schools.
I see this year you've incorporated the South African Police Services in the intervention that you're undertaking. Does this mean that we're going to see zero tolerance, if one can call it that, to illegal schools? We know the financial element that goes with these schools. How families are often forced to pay for the, let's call it the lodgings of the time that a young initiate spends at a school.
Yes, we have enlisted the SAPS and also the NPA also. It's also part of the task team. And then we have looked at Gauteng. In Gauteng, it's a syndicate. So the police will be more investigating the people who are running it as part of the syndicate and begin to deal and then using whatever available laws that are there, which obviously there are still gaps in terms of sentencing them for running an illegal schools, but for kidnapping, we can then come up with charges and then really prosecute them for kidnapping of the children if those children did not go in willingly. But also for charging the parents, it's an illegal activity where you are imposing particular charges on the parents and imposing them on something that they didn't plan for it. So we will have to look at those laws and really run on those particular activities and ensure that we cap and ensure that there's no deaths in all the schools.
It almost borders on extorting money from parents when you kidnap the children. But I want to talk about the parents and the role of parents in the whole thing and what support is for parents, because it must be difficult for parents to test the authenticity of an initiation school or to know which are the legal ones or what you should be looking out for with regards to an illegal initiation school.
In the traditional communities, it's working very well because traditional leaders give permissions to these people. They get pronouns in the community so people will know who are the people. In the urban areas, yes, indeed, it's difficult because there's no authority that then looks as to who is supposed to be running a school or not. And then in the new law, that's the areas that we're going to be focusing on to say to municipalities, you are responsible now for the setting up, monitoring, ensuring hygiene conditions and standards, and ensuring that all those people who are running the school have permits. And we're going to be talking to the municipalities, particularly in the urban areas, to say, this is the area that we need to focus now. Don't even wait for the law to come. Please call on the people who want to run the school to come forward now. Register so that we could then be able to know who are they and designate areas so that they're not just all over. We know we can go in and monitor and then see indeed there's compliance on a number of issues. And Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni, and Vuwani in Gauteng are expected to do so. In the rural areas, we still leave it to the traditional leaders to do so.
The one thing that's concerning that we see the rise of is drugs. The use of drugs and alcohol and that sort of thing at these initiation schools. We've seen the deaths related to nyaupe in certain instances. How do we crack down on this kind of behavior, not just at illegal schools, but also within the legal framework, if one can call it that?
Well, it's going to be one of the issues that we're going to be imposing through the policy and into the legislation, that the following are the no's. And there will be criminal offenses designed for that, and there will be penalties that will then go with, so that if you run a school, tomorrow you know that you'll be responsible for the wrongs, and then you can be charged for all those particular wrongs. And we'll try to phase in some of the issues in the current implementation strategy that we're going to be rolling out for this winter season going forward, so that we could really bring dignity into the long African held cultural value and practice in society, and indeed, get rid of all the bad elements and ensure, therefore, that we clean that issue and it does no longer become an offense to society.
Yes,
or an embarrassment, as is the case.
We often forget that this is the ultimate rite of passage. It's becoming a man. It's about being separated from boyhood and becoming a man. It's that important. I thank you for joining us today, Mr. Minister, and I wish you all the best. I know it's such a difficult thing to keep a handle on it, but I'm sure that the intervention strategy that you have will bear lots of fruit this year. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, and I hope so.
That, of course, is the Deputy Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs here in South Africa, Mr. Obed Bapela, and I thank him for coming in today to talk about this issue that's a concern for all South Africans. Now, we're on the topic, the male circumcision clinic at the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University in Port Elizabeth is gaining a lot of popularity. It offers medical circumcision on average 3 times a year now. Young people are moving away from traditional practices that are usually carried out, what they call under non-clinical conditions. These have significantly higher risk of complications. However, medical male circumcision is a relatively simple, quick and safe procedure when performed in a clinical setting under sterile conditions by a trained practitioner with proper instrumentation.
This is the medical clinic at the university. Craig Goos, a second-year student, has opted to have his procedure done here. He's attracted by the clean and sterile conditions, amongst other things.
The reason that I came actually to be circumcised from my health perspective, it reduces the risk of getting infected with STIs and transferring, like the other thing that I read up is for a partner, when you involve with the partner and the cervix, cancer cervix, that's also the reason why I choose to circumcise.
Many of the patients are students from outside countries and want to remain anonymous. Luyanda Shezi from Bizana in the Eastern Cape is happy to tell his story. He's just been circumcised and is comfortable breaking with Khoza custom by opting not to go to the bush.
So my advice for young men who want to do the same thing, I would advise them to come to the clinic more than to go to the bush, because there are a lot of things, and also it is easy to get risk and also to die somewhere, because here we examine each and every time and to make sure that everything we are cool. So I would advise them to come here instead.
Other patients are here to have problems fixed that were a result of the traditional circumcision ritual.
Today I'm expecting about 3. They have been to the Khoza circumcision. Right now they are here just for the correction. Apparently it wasn't done properly.
Mr. Mbang will take care of you.
At the clinic, patients undergo a pre-medical checkup and get clear instructions regarding post-procedure.
Just clean the. We will give you pain medication. You'll be taught how to take it after the operation.
In cultural traditions, the rite of passage into adulthood usually lasts around 6 weeks, coinciding with the peak of winter and summer in South Africa. But each year, dozens of teenage boys die or are left mutilated. Janine Lee, SABC News, Port Elizabeth.
Yeah, separating the men from the boys. Initiation season, it's upon us here in South Africa. It proved to be exceedingly deadly last year. And we're hopeful that maybe this winter it will be a little bit better. That's why we ask you the question, how do we prevent another deadly initiation season? It's a serious concern here in South Africa. In one province alone, the Eastern Cape, last year, 29 young men lost their lives. We've got a number since 2008. More than 500,000 young men suffered complications after attending initiation school. That is in 6 years alone, 500,000 young men suffered complications. Very concerning, that high number it is. But time for us now to bring Renee West into the picture. Renee is doing a little bit of a new segment for us. She's taking a look at social media trends, what's going on. If there are any nice videos and that sort of thing, Renee is going to be with us to put us in the picture as to what is happening in the world of social media. Or is that the world now, Renee?
Well, it seems the world is definitely going towards that way, Eben, which is why, of course, we're going to be taking a look at some of the top trends on social media. So let's start off with the top trends in South Africa. We have Vuwani, Janet Jackson and the Mamelodi Sundowns. Of course, quite a difference happening there. We've got some local, we've got some sport, we've got some international news happening in there. But to take a look at some of the biggest news stories, I think this hour is quite important. Still, the situation in Vuwani there today is very tense. We have a reporter, Mike Moringa, who is on that story, but we'll be crossing to him a bit later. Then, of course, we have Joburg, the State of the City address, which took place yesterday. And, of course, then we have Parliament as well. But, of course, to talk about Vuwani, one of the biggest stories of the day, the situation still remains tense with about 18 schools and other buildings that have been set alight and damaged there. Our reporter, Mike Moringa, is following the developments on that story. There you go. You have it on screen. If you want to follow our reporter, that's at Mike Moringa. He will be updating you on that. Now, before we go to the top comments, let's take a look at this top trending video that is in South Africa, of course, by News 24 of a cash in transit heist. Takes the money, takes the cash straight out of the man's hands. Of course, as you can see there, from what we see from this camera footage, there is no security guards around him when he comes out of the back of the van there, which I think is quite a problem. But we will update you on that story. Of course, this footage is by News 24. Well, there you have it, top trends on social media and top trends on YouTube as well. So if I can just bring you into this urban, I think...
Yeah, interesting pictures coming in on the YouTube clip. It's you know, you never know how fast these things happen. It's like in a couple of seconds. Interesting one. What else is happening in the world today?
So I think, well, as you saw, the biggest story of the day, I think, is the situation in Vuwani. I mean, lots of pictures coming out there. We've got a reporter on the story there, but everyone seems to be covering that. So, and a lot of people are talking about it. It's quite sad, of course, the schools that have been burnt. Very sad for the children.
Yeah, absolutely. One wouldn't wish it on anyone, but 17 schools now burnt up. Yeah, you see the pictures, of course, of some of the damage. Mike Moringa, of course, is our very own reporter. He's the man on the spot, as always. You can follow Mike, or you can follow SABC News, and you'll get all the latest. Look at the damage at the schools. These schools burnt because, well, governance issues is what would probably be the polite way of looking at it.
And, of course, our picture of the day, let's take a look at that. It comes from Kent Palmer, at Ken Palmer, and shows a picture of the young boys preparing for their circumcision ritual in South Africa.
Yeah, it's a wonderful picture. It's almost artistic. The rite of passage, you know, sometimes we underestimate the importance of this. It's the rite of passage for every young man becoming, well, separating boys from men, leaving boyhood behind and coming into adulthood. It's a rite of passage for every young man around the world.
That's right. And if we take a look at the comment of the day, I think it's also quite interesting. This one is from Rex Dace, and says 500,000 boys in South Africa suffer complications from circumcision. He says that since 2008. Of course, that's we need to verify those statistics coming in there, but that is a very, very important thing that we need to have a look at. Of course, circumcision season is about to begin. So now if we take the comments of the day, we've got lots of news on that. Mamelodi Sundowns, of course, everybody's excited. Mamelodi Sundowns were crowned PSL champions after beating Amatuks in Pretoria last night. Remember, you can also send your comments at SABC Newsroom. Let's take a look at some of those comments here. This one comes from Nduzu. Congratulations to Mamelodi Sundowns for becoming the RSA PSL champions. Well done, Mr. Pitso Musumani and your boys. All right, let's take a look at this one. This one comes from Linesman. Mamelodi Sundowns are the new APSA PSL champions. Congratulations. All right, and this one, Eben, if you can take this over.
Zlatan, 7-Up Dance, says, I love it when Sundowns hurt South Africa. Oh, that's a little bit harsh. Then Matsobani Langa says, you are what you have done at Kaizer Chiefs. Now Sundowns supporters think they are bigger than us. Congrats to them, by the way. No, Sundowns are the biggest team. They've won the Premiership 7 times. That is what it is. Thank you very much, Rene. Rene will be back again to give us another look at social media a little bit later in the show. At SABC Newsroom Scores is where you can interact with us live. Also, we've got a question today. But before we go to our question, let's take a look at what's happening around the country. Yeah, the news diary will start in Pretoria, where a cross-examination of the first witness who took the stand at the Class and Board of Inquiry into Ria Piaga's fitness to hold office is expected. The hearings of the suspended National Police Commissioner are expected to last for about 5 weeks. Then in Kimberley, the High Court judge is expected to hand down a decision today on whether or not to allow oral evidence to be led in the pre-sentencing procedures against former Northern Cape ANC chairperson John Block, as well as businessman Christos Scholz. Then the Asset Forfeiture Unit has already issued a draft order to confiscate Scholz's assets worth, listen to this, 580 million rand, as well as 2.7 million of John Block's assets. Very interesting. That's what's happening around the courts. Let's now take a look at what's on the front pages around the globe. We'll start in Europe, where the Times reports that David Cameron buckled under pressure yesterday and opened the door to migrant children from refugee camps in Europe. Then moving to New York, the Wall Street Journal says Donald Trump vowed to unite the Republican Party yesterday after his landslide victory in Indiana. And finally, in the United States, the USA Today reports that an Australian company unearthed a massive 404-carat diamond in Angola, valued at as much as $14 million. Well, interesting. That's a big diamond. We'll try and get a picture and put it up for you on our Facebook page. You're watching Newsroom. We'll be back with you after a short break.
Good afternoon. You're watching the Midday Report.
Lunchtime news amplified.
But for now, this is what they call home. Their hope to shift to higher ground seems to be against the tide.
Midday Report provides you with more than just news stories.
I just want Port Elizabeth to know that they own a world-class theatre.
Good afternoon. You're with the news at 1 in the headlines.
Very good afternoon to you. This is News Live. I'm Natasha Thorpe. Let's take a quick look at what's coming up in your headlines.
Good afternoon and welcome to A View from the House.
For all things news, tune in to Midday Report weekdays at 12 noon, only on the SABC News Channel.
The 2016 winter initiation season is around the corner and preparations are well underway. The national and provincial governments, together with the House of Traditional Leaders, have embarked on a joint zero-tolerance campaign to curb deaths. Now, in 2014, the National Prosecuting Authority, the NPA, warned that initiation schools that they could face criminal charges in accordance with the Children's Act. Section 12 of the Act stipulates that only boys over the age of 16 may be circumcised, unless there's a religious or a medical reason to do otherwise. Last year in the Eastern Cape, the winter initiation season claimed the lives of 29 initiates. SABC reporter Busisiwe Jamsana is on standby from East London with the chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders, Khosi Malisela Dikale. A very good morning to you, Busisiwe. Is that time of the year again where men will be separated from the boys? But can you tell us why is this particular season so important, and how is the preparation in the Eastern Cape?
A very good morning, Elvis. Quite a sunny morning here in East London. It is a significant tradition here in the Eastern Cape. It is where boys go through a passage of being men. They are being equipped with wisdom of becoming men, with the hope that when they go out of initiation schools, they are able to take responsibility for their actions. They are able to act morally in societies and communities. When they come out of those initiation schools, Elvis, they are expected to lead their families. They are expected to lead their communities. People in their villages look up to them for direction. They look up to them for leadership. So it is that much important in this tradition that they go through all that so that they can be equipped by men who are older than them, men who have walked the same road as them, and men who have wisdom and experience in the matters of leading the nation. But unfortunately, Elvis, it has been plagued with botched circumcision, illegal traditional surgeons, illegal school initiation school that has left many dead initiates continue to die year in, year out, despite campaigns that have been put there. But to tell us more, we are joined by the chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders from Limpopo, Khosi Malisela Dikale. Thank you for that. In Limpopo, you have the lowest number of initiates that die. But year in, year out, we see initiates dying across the country. What seems to be the problem?
You know, the problem comes when there's not enough preparation. With us, I think we've been going through some challenges, and we said we must have the best preparation. And the first one that we do to show that you are ready for initiation is that we must have a committee. The committee that will oversee the applications, and the applications must come, be received, be reviewed, and then thereafter you must have the number of initiation schools that you know you are going to have. And then thereafter, that will lead you into a number of social workers, a number of health inspectors that you must have in a district.
We've seen these campaigns, you working with with the Department of Traditional Affairs, working with the health officials, working with the police, but we continue to see initiates dying. What is it this year that you're going to do differently to make sure that you curb the death of initiates?
With us is that we must have an improvement of what we did last year. Last year we checked and discovered that some of the problems that came is that we did not have enough pre-screening of the initiates. So we want to up the standard, make sure that we have pre-screening. Thereafter, we will know that when we check throughout the districts, we will know that if we have a number of 20 per district, we know that we have a good number of those who must go around checking the health standard of the initiates.
Another major concern, Khosi, is illegal traditional surgeons. They continue to play a role in the death of initiates. What are you doing to strengthen the law, to strengthen rules that govern who should be responsible for these initiates?
With us in the province, we are having a bill, the 2013 Initiation Schools Bill, that I think is going to help us because it's going through the process of public participation. If that can pass, we'll know that when it comes to punishment of a person who takes chances, we will be sure that we'll set an example of those who are taking chances, because we lose lives because of that.
And I'm sure this is not just a thing for the House of Traditional Leaders or the health officials or the police. Parents also need to play a role. What role can parents play in making sure that they help you fight the fight that you are fighting?
We are saying we must publicize the list of the permitted initiation schools. If parents can go with us around that, know that in the district that they are staying in, they have this number of initiation schools, and in almost every district they know the permitted initiation schools, then we'll be able to know that the parents will control their kids. They will tell them that you don't go there. It's just a group of chotis who are giving themselves permits. Don't go there. Then we'll know that we will be able to control.
All right. The Eastern Cape being the province with the most, one of the highest death of initiates, and Limpopo the least province. Will we be seeing that both provinces working together in sharing information and knowledge on how best to deal with this?
It's true. We formed a task team nationally, where we have participants from our province and participants from the Eastern Cape. They both share ideas. And the Eastern Cape Provincial House visited our province, and we talked about some of the tricks that plague with us during school's period.
Lastly, Kgoshi, I'm sure now it is a matter of restoring dignity of the old African tradition. How are you going to do that to make sure that dignity is restored and this tradition is respected?
Yeah, if we can be able to control the death, obviously, we'll say we are now in control. If we can be able to say people who are taking chances, they don't do it this year, or we reduce the number of those who are taking chances this year, I can tell you that we'll say we are now in control. And that's what we want, so that no one must die in the initiation schools. And those who come from the other initiations, the other circumcision school, must join the initiation school. Because the department has a circumcision school and we have an initiation school. So we want the people to come to the initiation school so that they can know that we are interested in the person in totality.
Kgoshi, thank you so much for your time. That was the chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders, Kgoshi Malisela Dikgale, telling us about the plans they have and the preparations they have in the upcoming winter season, initiation season, saying that they will also work together with the Eastern Cape in making sure that they curb the number of initiates who die during the initiation season. From us here in the Eastern Cape, it's back to you in studio.
Thank you. That was our report on the scene. Busisiwe Jimsana there with Nkosi Malisela Dikgale on the scene there. Right now, there's a couple of comments that we do have for you that we want to run through. It seems like the situation in Vuwani remains tense following that a fourth night of violent protests that's seen a number of schools, satellite police stations, tribal offices and even municipal trucks being burnt down. Now, we'll have our reporter on the scene a little bit later, just after the 10 o'clock break, to give us an update there. Remember that you can send us your comments, and here's some of the first comments that's coming through on the Facebook, on the Twitter handle. This one from Nobesutu Kaele says that the protest is about Vuwani town residents not wanting to be merged with Malumulele under the new municipality. This must be ongoing for years now, says Nobesutu. Mama Lodi Sundowns says 17 schools set alight. What kind of protest is this? Hashtag Vuwani. This one from IG says strike and don't damage the government properties. Hashtag SABC News Vuwani. Lasiba says we can't encourage separate municipalities based on tribe. Now that's another issue that we need to look at. Vuwani people must just belong to new municipality or leave the area. It's an ongoing situation that we're going to keep a close eye on, and we'll have our reporter Mike Moringa reporting on the latest in Vuwani, so you don't want to miss it. You have to stay tuned. But our question for the day, we focus on circumcision. We're asking you the question, how do we circumvent and how do we prevent another deadly initiation season this year, 2016? We'll take a break, but we'll be right back right after that.
technology isn't all scary. There's also fun stuff like gaming.
Lots of women do play games, whether it's on their phones or their tablets.
Then there are Africans who are using new tools to make other people's lives much easier.
We typed the whole CV on a small, QWERTY Nokia phone.
For all these and other technology and social media news, join me, Spumelele Zondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time on SABC News.
Well, it seems there's a slight problem with one of our interviews in Pretoria. We'll see if we can attach to that one. But since May this year, was it last year, there's been an increase in circumcision deaths. But it seems like male circumcision is gaining popularity globally. And in South Africa, it is currently one of the most frequently performed surgical procedures in the world. Now, it has also been found that if circumcision can protect a circumcised man or a circumcised man's female's partner from certain sexually transmitted infections. Now, many women claim that sex with a circumcised man lasts longer and offers more pleasure, and that they find it unhygienic to be intimate with a man who hasn't been circumcised. Now, that is what we hear. Now, to talk to us about this story, we're joined by Dr. Mpho Mariesani as the Deputy Director, Health Programs, HIV and MMC at the Arum Institute. Doctor, very good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning and thank you.
Now, it seems like we do have some technical issues this morning in studio, but we can continue our discussion here. Circumcision seem to be very popular lately. Is it the fact that men are pressured by their partners, or is that just a normal thing that happens in society where people go through phases?
It's a bit of both. There's been a lot of messaging out there. The South African Department of Health included MMC in the milieu or the combination of HIV prevention interventions from 2010. And what has happened in that time is there has been consistent messaging of the benefits of circumcision to the men.
What are those benefits, Doctor?
So, as the name says, medical male circumcision. The main emphasis is HIV prevention. So we know that medical male circumcision can reduce the risk of a man acquiring HIV infection from heterosexual intercourse with an HIV-infected woman by up to 60%. More recent studies, and this came from evidence from Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, way back 2005.
Yes.
But subsequent to that, there's been more research that has even showed that the benefits goes beyond a single individual. There's a community-wide benefit.
How so?
In that, if you can think of it this way, if you have an individual who has averted HIV, or rather reduced their risk, in time, one individual and others, you end up with a level of HIV prevalence being a little less than it used to be. So in other words, where you have a background lower rate, you obviously in turn have a lower risk of acquisition, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So from individual benefit to community benefits. So that is the biggest benefit. There are other benefits. There are reductions in the risk of acquiring other sexually transmitted infections to the men. But in addition to that, we have benefits that accrue to partners, female partners of circumcised males. For instance, the risk of getting cancer of the mouth of the womb, cancer of the cervix, is that much more reduced in partners of men who've been circumcised. There are other benefits to men.
Yes.
We've recently known that the risk of cancer of the prostate gland is also lower in men who have had circumcision.
That sounds like a number of benefits if you're circumcised, but are there any negatives attached to it?
Okay. So, as you said, circumcision is a medical procedure. It's an operation. And as with any operation, there are potentially risks. But the important thing is, in the hands of trained, qualified, competent providers, those risks are minimal. So we do explain to the clients what the benefits are, what the risks are, like in any operation. But we would like to emphasize the fact that in the hands of qualified providers, the risks are minimal. So you have less than 2% risks of adverse events. And obviously things like bleeding. What should be emphasized is that if the advice that has been given to the individuals prior to circumcision is kept, that almost takes away all the risks that I have alluded to. So we get that preparation clearly to the clients before they go into circumcision to try and avert those complications.
Doctor, thank you so much for your time and joining us here in studio. Now, that was Dr. Mpho Marisani. She is the Deputy Director, Health Program, HIV and MMC at the Aurum Institute. It's over to Eben with more.
Yeah, thank you very much, Albert. Since May of 2013, the Department of Health here in South Africa and its anti-HIV partners have been promoting medical male circumcision at universities. The medical male circumcision campaign forms part of a comprehensive HIV/AIDS program in the higher education and training sector that is being driven by a campaign called HE/AIDS, where university clinics are fully equipped. Students and staff book in for the procedure by a trained health care professional under sterile conditions and receive pre-counseling and then follow-up care. Scientific evidence shows that male circumcision is an effective HIV prevention measure as it reduces the risk of acquiring the dreaded virus by up to 60%. Now, from our Pretoria studios, we're joined by the Director of the Higher Education and HIV/AIDS Program, otherwise known as HEH, Dr. Ramnik Ahluwalia. Very good morning to you, Dr. Ahluwalia. Thank you for joining Newsroom.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much.
Just give us the success rate. How successful has the medical male circumcision campaign at tertiary institutions been since you launched it, I think, 3 years ago now?
Yes, absolutely. Every year we're experiencing close to more than 10,000 young students from our universities or TVET colleges coming up front for medical circumcisions. As higher education, as part of my campaign of the First Things First, we have been advocating education about circumcision. Our main priority is a student can decide whether he wants to do a traditional circumcision or he wants to do a medical circumcision. Yes, medical circumcision we do provide at our campus clinics. We do provide as part of the mobile clinics. We refer the patients. But if a student traditionally wants a circumcision, our first job is every young South African in South Africa must know what are the benefits of circumcision. What is it when you get circumcised? How much circumcision needs to happen? What is the post-operative wound care? Because most of the deaths, most of the complications are because of the post-operative wound care. And if we can educate our young people, if they know what is it when they get circumcised, they will look after them. And if they go even traditionally, we do advise them go through registered traditional healers and ensure how much the skin needs to be cut, sterile conditions, and what needs to happen after a post-wound the operation happens. So on those grounds, I think this has been a very successful program. Last year, close to 200,000 young people were reached through this program, trying to make them understand the values of this. And I think it's growing, and it's been quite a successful story from last 2 years.
Tell us about the reaction amongst young men and students at universities, since the inception or after they've undergone this procedure.
I think it has been very positive. What we've also done is we've also gone all our healthcare workers within our universities to be trained on post-operative wound cares. We have developed close to about 7,000 peer educators, and I must say that a peer educator, a young educated South African, when he or she speaks to its peers, they make more sense. So, for example, a student who has been circumcised becomes a peer and speaks about his experience, about it, how it went through, how this exactly not going and standing in the queue in the Department of Health, it's happening right at the campus. It is a very straightforward procedure. It takes very little time. It happens very quickly. And what are the areas of how you must protect your post-operative wound, how you look after the penis after it has undergone the surgery. I think it really has a ripple effect. And that is what we need in South Africa. In fact, I can also give you that even 10 peer educators or 10 strong young educated South Africans in a village like Ladysmith, if they are asked to go and speak to the community at large, they make much more powerful voice because they tell their experience, which the audience in the communities listen to them.
Thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Ramnik Aluvalia is, of course, the Director of the Higher Education and HIV/AIDS program, talking to us about medical male circumcision that has been so successful on the campuses here in South Africa. We'll be back at the top of the hour with more news. Don't go away. You're watching Newsroom here on SABC News.
It's Thursday, the 5th of May, 2016. This is Newsroom on SABC News on Channel 404. Jumbo Africa, if you've just joined us, and a very warm welcome for the second hour as we broadcast live from our Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg, South Africa, to the rest of the African continent. I'm Elvis Preston. I'll be with you until 12 o'clock. We're also streaming live on YouTube with the entire show available on our YouTube channel. There's a question that we posed to you today. We focus on the more than 500,000 boys that have been hospitalized due to botched traditional circumcision since 2008, according to a 2014 report of the Commission for the Promotion and Protection of the Rights of Cultural, Religious and Linguistics Communities, or CRL. Meanwhile, the Department of Cooperative Governance have implemented an initiation, monitoring and intervention strategy which aims to curb initiation deaths. So we're asking you this morning, how do we prevent another deadly circumcision season? That's the question. Let us know what's on your mind on the Twitter handle at SABC Newsroom, as well as on our Facebook page. But first, let's take a look at your news headlines. President Jacob Zuma will reply to the debate over the presidency's budget today following interruptions yesterday. The Clon Board of Inquiry into National Police Commissioner Ria Pierre's fitness to hold office is this morning expected to commence with the cross-examination of Captain Monwabisi Mhlati. And 4 Limpopo MECs will meet with representatives of Vuwani residents in Toyondo this morning in a bid to end the violence in the region. Those are all your headlines, but before we get to the news, let's find out from Kendall what's happening on the sports front.
Good morning, Elvis. Thank you very much for that. Good morning to you at home as well. This is what we've got for you in the sports today.
Billiards. Lafort looking for the hat-trick. Lafort gets the hat-trick. And the most successful club in the PSL area extends its record.
Mamelodi Sundowns win a record-extending 7th PSL title, beating Ducks 3-0, courtesy of a Lafort hat-trick.
Zinedine Zidane has led them through to the Champions League final, and they will face Atletico Madrid again as 2 years ago.
Real Madrid edge Manchester City at the Bernabeu on their way to the UEFA Champions League final.
They conceded an unfortunate goal and deflected it.
And Djokovic eases into the third round of the Madrid Open with a straight sets victory over Coric. Back to the main desk for the news. Our sports will be coming up at about 10:20 or so.
Thank you, Kendall. Top story this hour. President Jacob Zuma will reply to the debate over the presidency's budget later today. Yesterday, he announced government's intentions to boost the economy and plans to address challenges facing the youth.
Key positive attribute for the country at this time is that government and business are working together more than any other time to find ways of reigniting growth. As part of efforts to reignite growth and build a better life for all, we have also been vigorously implementing the 9-point plan that I announced in the State of the Nation address last year. Energy is high up on the agenda. During last year's presidency budget vote debate, our country was facing an acute energy challenge. We have made remarkable progress since then. Government has also taken concrete and direct steps to encourage youth employment and training through public employment programs. On June 16 last year, we launched the Maramento Youth Online Membership Scheme, pairing young entrepreneurs with CEOs of companies. We are encouraged by the uptake. By April 2016, over 300 140,000 young people in our country were being mentored by 269 mentors.
The president's budget vote was meanwhile marred by disruptions from the opposition parties. EFF MPs were thrown out of the National Assembly after they tried to prevent President Jacob Zuma from opening the debate on the budget vote of the presidency.
The presidency's budget vote got off to a rocky start. This after EFF MPs tried unsuccessfully to prevent President Zuma from tabling it.
There's prima facie evidence that the president has violated the constitution.
But the speaker shot down the EFF's request. When things had calmed down, the president kicked off his speech by focusing on the country's economy.
We have taken concrete measures to reduce the negative impact of the global economic downturn on our economy and to prepare for robust growth when the economic cycle turns positive.
Referring to the gloomy global economic climate, he said government had taken concrete measures to reduce its impact on South Africa. The ruling party agreed with the president about the state of the economy.
Your calling, Honourable President, is at the time when the socio-economic situation in the country and globally is complex, depressed and depressing.
Democratic Alliance leader Musi Maimane was in full attack mode.
We cannot support a presidency budget when the president refuses to take responsibility.
Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa agreed with the president about the economy.
In his State of the Nation address in February, President Jacob Zuma called on all sectors of society to work together to address the economic challenges that we face. And he said, we cannot change the global economic conditions, but we can do a lot to change the local conditions.
Ramaphosa says the overriding concern of all government social partners is the creation of jobs. Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.
Now, the Clon Board of Inquiry is expected to commence with the cross-examination of Captain Nwabisi Nhlati this morning. Now, it is probing the suspended Police Commissioner Ria Piega's fitness to hold office. Captain Nhlati took the stand yesterday. He was on duty on the 16th of August 2012 when 34 miners were shot dead. Nhlati said that he had clearly heard Lieutenant Colonel Scott say that orders had come from the police national management. But Colonel Scott told the Farnham Commission of Inquiry that he was not aware of these orders. The defence wants to cross-examine Captain Nhlati and the Vuwani spokesperson Lindela Mashego. The defence asked to stand down so it could review the police captain's evidence. Now, for the latest, our reporter Patricia Fasaki has been following the story from day one. She now joins us for today for the update. Patricia, very good morning to you. Can you take us back to yesterday? What transpired then?
Good morning, Elvis. Of course, yesterday we saw the Clon Board of Inquiry wrapping up on a high note with that discrepancy and, of course, contradiction that came to light in the testimony of Captain Nhlati, where he repeatedly highlighted to us that he can remember very correctly at that meeting that was held on the 16th of August in 2012, where he remembers that Colonel Scott was also present at the meeting that he told the Board of Inquiry yesterday, where a lot of the commanders were summoned at the time by Brigadier Adrian Karlitz, and he says that they were sitting in a vehicle at the time, and he remembers correctly where Colonel Scott repeatedly told them that the order to disarm and, of course, disperse the striking miners at the time came from the top brass of the police. But, of course, yesterday we were also reminded that at the time
time when Colonel Scott testified during the Farlam Commission, he denied this. He denied knowing anything about a meeting where this order was discussed and a meeting where the decision was taken to disarm and disperse these striking miners. So, of course, today we expect the defense to cross-examine Captain Ntlati on this discrepancy, the contradiction, and try and find out whose version between Colonel Scott and Captain Ntlati's is correct, who is credible, who is giving credible information in terms of these two leaders, because it is contradicting and it does raise serious questions as to where did the order come from, who gave the instruction for the police to attack the miners at that crucial time, that violent strike that we did observe in 2012. And of course, later on, we will be expecting the second witness to take the stand, and that is the former police communications officer, and that is Lindela Mashego, who is currently the Tshwane Council, of course, spokesperson. So he will be taking the stand, and he's going to talk more about some of the statements that the communication team at the time compiled, and of course allegations that some of these statements were amended and there were changes that were brought to the fore. And so he's going to give more clarity. What were the changes that were brought and who gave the instructions to make those changes? And all of this are in line with trying to, of course, prove that the suspended police commissioner is not fit to hold office, or whether she is. Elvis?
What do you think is his testimony today? Well, it seems like we've lost Patricia there.
Can you just repeat that? We have lost signal.
Let's just try and see if you can hear me now. How important is Captain Monwabisi Slati's taking the stand today, his testimony?
Well, it is very important. As I said, it has yesterday left us with, a lot of questions, as there was a clear contradiction, because he says he remembers correctly that Colonel Scott said that top management, the national management, gave the instruction for the order that they should disarm and disperse the striking miners. But of course, he had denied this already at the Farlam Commission. So it is important to determine who gave that order. You would remember that part of the reason why we are here is that the suspended police commissioner is being accused of concealing some important information, crucial evidence during the Farlam Commission, and of course misleading the commission and not telling all truth. So it is important for us all to get clarity as to who gave that order, and why are these two police officers giving two conflicting versions of event as to what happened and who gave the order. And that will bring us all closer to the point to determine as to why the police took the decision on that day of the 16th of August 2012 to shoot the miners in the extent which they did.
What time is the commission supposed to start today, Patricia?
Well, it's supposed to start at 10 o'clock, but for the past 2 days we have had severe delays, and we expect the same thing to happen today, where we're probably going to start much later than the anticipated time. So we're probably going to start at around 11. That's how it's been since the inquiry has started. So yes, we are delayed again today, so we expect to start at 11 o'clock.
Is there any reason given for the delay yesterday even, or the day before?
Well, the reasons that we did get yesterday as to what led to the delays was that the legal teams that were here were in a private discussion with, of course, Judge Clon, where they were discussing in terms of what should happen to some of the witnesses, who's going to get called and who will not be called. Yesterday, we saw about 4 witnesses who were supposed to be called to come and testify, who then they decided that those witnesses will no longer be called, as they both the evidence leaders and the defense had reached an agreement that they agree with the testimonies, the written testimonies by those witnesses. So it's common cause. So there was no need to, re-examine their testimonies again in terms of them testifying again. So that was one of the delays. There were also, I think, disagreements in terms of whether Captain Ntlati should testify or not, and whether today's second witness, that being Lindela Mashego, whether he should take the stand stand or not. So it seemed like they could not get on same footing yesterday in terms of the logistics around the witnesses. But of course, that was sorted out. So we're not sure exactly what's the delay today, but hopefully they will tell us soon as to what is delaying them.
Patricia, thank you so much for that update. That was our reporter on the scene, Patricia Fasahi. Now, Lily gold mine workers in Barberton have embarked on a protest action over unpaid salaries. The workers have blockaded the road leading to the different mines in the area. Last week, the mine failed to pay its workers their monthly salaries, only paying them 650 rand. The mine was recently placed under business rescue. It follows a collapse in February which left 3 workers still trapped underground. Now, for more on the story, we cross live to Lily Mine in Barberton, where our reporter Spepile Kunene joins us for an update. Spepile, a very good morning to you and welcome. Can you tell us what is the situation right now there at Lily Mine?
The situation at the moment is that Louisville residents, Lily mine workers as well as Babrook mine workers have blockaded the road into the village as well as to the 2 mines. They want the mine to start to work towards retrieving the 3 that were trapped underneath on the 5th of February this year. It's been exactly 90 days since the 3 disappeared into the bellies of the earth. And at the moment, operations to rescue them or to try and recover them have stopped because of lack of funding. The workers also want to be paid for the month of April because they were not paid due to lack of funds. The Babrook miners have already joined Lily mine workers in sympathy of what's happening. The village is not good at all at the moment. They are not happy with what's ongoing. They are also demanding that they want to see the minister, Vuwani. They want to see their leadership in AMCU. They also want to see the mine management. They want the compensation money to be paid to them. As now they are not being paid, it's difficult to make ends meet for them.
Is there any word from management as to why the workers have not been paid?
Yes, we have spoken to the rescue practitioner. He said at the moment he's still trying to solicit funds to pay these workers. The government as well as the private sector are supposed to come together to rescue the mine. He hasn't received any money to try and do that now. He said he needs even more money to try and retrieve the 3 miners that are trapped underground, and also to try and maybe rehabilitate the mine for it to continue to function after this whole tragedy is over. So at the moment he's waiting on the funding. He's unable to make any payments.
What are the workers saying? How long are they planning to strike?
They are planning to be on the road until the minister or AMCU leadership or the mine management comes and addresses them. They want to know what's happening. They want to know their future. They are not being paid, 1. 2, they don't know what's happening with the 3 that are underneath since no work is being done to retrieve them. They also want to know what's happening with the compensation that they were promised. So they say they are willing to wait until the 3 come and address them.
Thank you so much for that report. That's a reporter Spepile Kunene live from Lily Mine in aspiring at Lily Mine. Let's move on to another story that's developing. Representatives of Vuwani are expected to meet 4 Limpopo MECs in Toyondo this morning in a bid to end the violence in the region. A total of 17 schools have now been set alight in the area as the protest action continues. Residents want the Municipal Demarcation Board to reverse its decision to merge parts of Vuwani and Malamulele to form a new municipality. Limpopo Premier Stanley Matabata has appealed to Vuwani community leaders to bring calm and restraint. He has also condemned the destruction of property. An interministerial team has been appointed to address residents' concerns. Roads leading to Vuwani and Mashau remains barricaded. Now, we'll try and bring you an update of the latest from our reporter in the area as soon as we do get that link. But you have to stay tuned. This is your favorite channel. This is Channel 404. This is your favorite program, Newsroom. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. News is Newsroom.
We also stream live on YouTube.
Whether you're at home, at the office or at the gym, wherever you are, Newsroom is right there with you. Bringing you all the latest news, updates, sports, weather and everything in between. Get all the latest news you need on the go via live streaming on our YouTube channel. That's Newsroom, weekdays at 9 a.m. only on the SABC News Channel.
Welcome back. My name is Kendall Mahamat and I've got your sports on Newsroom. Our top story for today, in fact, probably for the week, is about Mamelodi Sundowns, who've been crowned the 2016 Premier Soccer League champions. This following their convincing 3-0 win over the University of Pretoria at the Tuck Stadium last night. The Brazilians sealed their second league title in 3 years with 2 games to spare. Wits was second on the log, have 57 points and now trail Sundowns by 8 points after 28 matches. Meanwhile, Ahmad Dax remains second from bottom, leading Maritzburg United, who've got a game in hand by a single point.
And by the way,
Lock leaders Mamelodi Sundowns took on crosstown rivals the University of Pretoria, looking to clinch the championship. This comes after Bidvest played to a 2-2 draw against Mpumalanga Black Aces at the Mbombela Stadium on Tuesday night. In contrast, the second from bottom Ahmad Dax to welcome Sundowns, looking for positive results to strengthen their relegation survival. However, it was the visitors who got off to a great start, with Anthony Lafont breaking the deadlock inside the first 3 minutes.
Bounces over that line, and it's the...
From there on, it was all about Sundowns, with that man again, Lafont, doubling the Brazilians' lead.
Anthony Lafont gets the brace.
The away side picked up where they left off in the first stanza, threatening the goal mouth early on in the second half. It was not long, though, before Sundowns took complete control of the match, with Lafont completing his hat-trick.
Lafont looking for the hat-trick. Lafont gets the hat-trick. 3 for Sundowns.
Former Orlando Pirates striker Lennox Bactela had a chance to pull one back for his team, but his effort went wide.
Picks up and kills it just wide.
In the end, there was no stopping Sundowns from claiming their 7th league title since the inception of PSL back in 1996 and 1997 season. Sundowns coach Pitso Msimani becomes the second coach in the club's history after Ted Dimitru to win 2 league titles with the Pretoria-based outfit. Joseph Mohali, SABC News.
And so the PSL title race is officially over. Champions-elect for so many moons, Mamelodi Sundowns have grabbed the Absa Premiership Championship for a remarkable 7th time. While they were busy etching their names into history again, there were other matches played last night as well. Here's a quick look at those results. Just a quick reminder, the 2-2 draw between Wits and Aces. But last night, Kaizer Chiefs, a 0-0 draw with Bloem Celtic, Ajax Cape Town, 2-2 against Jomo Cosmos. Now we're going to be obviously going through to talk about the relegation match in relegation competition in days to come. And right now, looking at the log standings, Mamelodi Sundowns, the upset Premiership champions, were 215-216 on 65 points, only played 28 matches, 2 to go. They're going to see if they can build up their lead at the top there. Bidvest Vets, Platinum Stars, KG Chiefs bring up the rest of the top 4. SuperSport United, Chipa, Orlando Pirates and Black Aces bring up the rest of the top 8 going towards the end of the season. Now to the bottom of the log, where once again we'll be looking at those teams that will be, trying to see if they can win themselves a place in the PSL for next year. But you know what, bigger than all of that, we really need to be talking about Mamelodi Sundowns, who have won the 7th Premiership title this year. Now, with that said, there are quite a lot of people who are fans of football fans, regardless what match it is, regardless what team it is. We know that we've got big fans for all the soccer teams as and when they play. For example, today, we are talking about Mamelodi Sundowns, and with me right now is one of my colleagues. He's a vision controller, sometimes a director. Llewellyn, good day. Thank you very much. You've done a little bit of work with us, and you've actually taken us through some of the big moments. And this is a big moment for you. It's a big moment for a lot of people in South Africa. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What have you got to say about this this title by Mamelodi Sundowns?
First of all, I want to say it is not how you start, but it's how we finish. And all the accolades need to go to Pizzo, to the president, Mr. Motsepe, and to all the players. So we are ecstatic and we are so happy to be called champions. Not champions elect, but champions.
Champions, finally champions. Well said. Can I ask you this? What was a big moment for you this season? When did you know that you have this one in the bag?
To be quite honest with you, I watched the game last night, and I was like biting my nails, but I knew at the back of my mind, we're gonna win it.
Now the sun is shining in Mamelodi. It is midday in Mamelodi. Congratulations, Bafana Bastyle. Sire?
Hey, Chara.
Nice one, well done.
Thank you.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to be trying to catch up with Matthew Booth, because he's going to be joining us on the line to talk to us about the sports news story of the day. Mamelodi Sundowns legend Matthew Booth is on the line. Good morning, Matthew. How are you, sire?
Good morning. Very good. Thanks. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Matthew, you heard just now. I just had a quick chat with one of my colleagues who's a big fan. He's wearing his jacket. He's probably got like the socks and the underwear to go with it. He's a very happy man, and I'm sure you are too.
No, absolutely, and congratulations to the fans as well. They've been long suffering, I think, over the last decade. You know, since we last won it in 1999-2000. And, up until, that was obviously the Chicas era. And then obviously in the Patrice Motsepe era, I think it was 2007. And then, there was still a long way to a couple of years. And having had the best squad, I think, every season since then, the fans have been waiting to win it again, and they have won twice in quick succession now. And this all bodes well not only for Sundowns but also for South Africa, because it means that Sundowns gets another bite of the cherry in Africa, which is they've missed that boat of late. But the more cherries, the more opportunities we get to play in the competition, the better for us.
Matthew, here's a quick one. Some have started making comparisons to the Sundowns of the late 2000s. Is this a fair and accurate comparison?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think a lot of people, football has changed dramatically since that era, even though it was, 10, 15 years ago, I think the game's a lot quicker. The players are more all-round athletes. The sports medicine has improved, so it's difficult to compare. But obviously, a team that has won the league 3 times in a row is not a Mickey Mouse team, and I remember that team very fondly. Obviously, Ted Dimitri won it twice in a row, and then Vuwani won it the 3rd time. That was the year that I was involved. I came up from Cape Town and joined the team then, and it was for any young player to have joined the team, which included Tuku, Roger Futumba, Alan Amugu, Daniel Mudau, was just fantastic. I was over the moon, So this team includes players who are probably even more gifted. And I think the likes of Kama Billiat and Keith Dolly was really the gave Sundowns that extra gear. And obviously the ability for Sundowns to have both them also helped. But certainly the main factor for me as to why Sundowns have been so consistent is that they haven't dipped into the transfer market unnecessarily, which is what they've done over the past decade under Motsep. And they've refrained from doing that after the last 3 seasons, and it's more fruit,
No, very good. Matthew Booth, thank you so much for coming through and chatting to us on the line about this momentous occasion for Mamelodi Sundowns fans and players. Really appreciate your time and your thoughts on this massive occasion for the Absa Premiership.
Sure, thank you very much.
Now, there you have it, Matthew Booth, Mamelodi Sundowns legend. Let's take some comments from you about what you've got to say about this. Richard Bakero, 7-time PSL champs. Masandawana, well done. Congratulations, my team. #Sundowns. Then we've got another comment by another fan, and as a congratulatory comment. And, well, as soon as we manage to bring it up, we'll give it to you. But there will be lots more as the show goes on. I want to thank you so much for having joined us for this, celebrating the Champions 2015-2016. We take a short break. When we come back, oh, there we go. I won't go before I give you these. They've come back. Jamie Kieran-Smith. Although it's put my beloved Amatucks in a tough position, Sundowns deserve nothing less than to be champions of the PSL. Right, and Mula, I'm chilling today and thinking about nothing. Know why? Sundowns are champions. Sky's the limit. 7-time PSL champions. And then for the last one I'm going to take for this segment, Simo Sishi. Congratulations to Masandawana. You earned it, guys. Keep up the good work in the next season. Cabo Yellow, Sundowns Live, #Sundowns. Lots of prayer, lots of happiness, lots of trophies. And we're going to take a short break now. We'll be back with more comments after this break. I know Eben Janssen is standing by with more news, more analysis. Stand by.
Health Talk unpacks healthy tips to help you to practice healthy living lifestyles.
Now, generally, type 1 is found mostly in children and young adults, and with type 2 diabetes is found mainly in the older generation, and also with an issue of obesity.
Don't have second portions, and then I brought this plate model to show that for both meals, your lunch, your dinner, half a plate should be vegetables.
Within sports, we see the spectrum itself. Most often we see minor head contact injuries, we call them.
Right.
But certainly in sports, the one that a lot of attention is paid to is concussion.
You see, you've got something, boom, but it's uncontrolled. Whereas in soccer, when the guy hits the ball, it's controlled. His neck muscles are controlling it. And that's why they say, for instance, in rugby, the training should be to improve your neck strength.
For more on health, join your host, Dr. Selo Mutaong, every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m.
Hello again, you're still at Newsroom. Time for us now, well, to take a look at some of the interesting stories in the news now. Some communities in the Eastern Cape here in South Africa, they're saying that the downgrading of 18 hospitals into community health centres has led to a severe shortage in medicines and a lack of care for certain patients. Residents of Fort Beaufort and Bedford say ever since their hospitals were downgraded, patients are now being turned away. The head of the Eastern Cape Health Department, Tobile Mengashe, says that these changes will improve the performance of health centres in turn. But there is one centre turning heads in the health industry and creating living hope for the community. Now, I'm joined in studio, Cape Town studio that is, by the founder and chairperson of Living Hope Healthcare Centre, John Thomas. A very good morning to you, John. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Great to be with you, Evan.
Let's begin with the downgrade, or let's call it about the 18 hospitals that have been downgraded. How do you view these downgrades, and what is the process of these downgrades then?
I can't comment, obviously, for the Eastern Cape Health Department's processes, but my guess is the reality is that it is mainly due to healthcare competencies, staff shortages. Rural areas are hopelessly under-resourced in terms of healthcare. And I cannot see how downgrading facilities into smaller units when we've got large amounts of people in rural areas are due to good planning and policy. I think it is rather a comment on the state of healthcare in some of our provinces that is sadly falling apart.
Does this downgrade, do you think it points to a greater need in South Africa to open up many smaller facilities that may allow for them to be maybe more professionally run?
Yes, if one can get the staff, obviously that makes a huge difference if one can get people to work in rural areas. But we at Living Hope, which is an NGO here in Cape Town, have chosen to be, relatively speaking, a small facility that comes alongside government and increases their capacity on the ground and supports a better healthcare delivery to the most needy people who need it. So we are a smaller facility which is supporting government in its need to deliver good healthcare services. So in our case, if you're asking me, a smaller unit has been able to increase healthcare delivery in terms of both primary and institutional healthcare. So it's worked for us, but then government in the various provinces needs to have a very deliberate policy of working with NGOs and helping to fund NGOs so that they can deliver perhaps more efficiently than a bureaucratic healthcare system can deliver.
What would you say are the contributing factors, or what are the keys to Living Hope being successful? And what do you think these hospitals that have been downgraded can learn from your experience?
At Living Hope, we are adamant that we're here to bring hope and break despair. And so we will seek to do all we can to break the despair of poverty and disease in our country. We are fanatic about delivering high-quality, compassionate healthcare. And I guess because we're a Christian organization, we seek to have staff who are passionate about delivering healthcare to the most needy. And compassionate healthcare is a critical issue in delivering efficient services. If people are just looking for a job, it lacks that drive and ability. And so, but the other issues are obviously good governance, good funding, good management. All of those drive efficient healthcare delivery on the ground. And that is where government often fails. But we have been able, very simply with no major healthcare knowledge or background, to be able to deliver some of the highest healthcare outputs in the country.
In conclusion, should we be concerned about the state or let's call it the lack of servicing of the poor because of these downgrades that we've just seen?
Very, very concerned. Everybody deserves the right to good health care. Everybody deserves the right to be able to be treated when they're sick. And it is a very sad commentary on our country that at this stage we're unable to get that to the poorest of the poor. And it is, in a sense, a deep injustice. But there are many organizations like Living Hope who seek to come alongside people in these dark times. And we certainly are passionate about extending healthcare. We've sought to get the highest possible standards. We're amongst one of 40 highly accredited facilities in this country. We've worked hard on issues like BEE and other facilities to attract funders, to attract people so that we can see the poor getting what they deserve and what everyone should have, and that is good health care close to their home.
Well, I thank you very much for joining us, John Thomas. That's the founder and chairperson, that is, of the Living Hope Healthcare Centre. Of course, we're dealing with downgrades of hospitals and professionalising healthcare service here in South Africa. Time now for us to have a look at what is on Newsroom Facebook page this morning. Now, President Jacob Zuma, he says that government has established a Black Emerging Filmmakers Fund, which aims to assist in bridging the inequality gap for filmmakers here in South Africa. Then in the United States and Russia have reaffirmed a cessation of hostilities agreement in Syria moments before the United Nations Security Council met in an emergency session after a fierce escalation in fighting in the cultural center of Aleppo. Finally, the Communications Workers Union says it is all systems go for the South African post office strike. Today, SAPO has warned that the impact of yet another strike by its workers will be extremely damaging. Of course, all of those and more you can find right on Newsroom's Facebook page. SABC Newsroom on Facebook in the search bar will pop up. Don't forget to like our page. Now, time for a quick look at the top trends on social media right now. Yes, that's for that hour now. Vuwani, that's the one that's on everyone's mind. Malamulele, of course, is where we've seen 17 schools being burnt to all of our dismay. Then, in Dawa 2016, that's what everyone's talking about as well. Of course, it's South Africa's biggest travel show, and it's being showcased right now. Also, Janet Jackson is in the news globally. She's expecting her first child at the age of 49 years old. Is that right? Can that be right? How do you view that? At SABC Newsroom, love to hear what you think about Janet Jackson being pregnant at 49 years old. Some people say it's unethical. Anyhow, a hot topic that is still trending today, of course, is Star Wars. Now, yesterday, more than 120,000 tweets were sent relating to this, to wrap what was happening on social media. Let's take a look at the picture of the hour. This one comes from Lisa Williams, and it says, "Happy #Star Wars Day." There you go. May the 4th be with you. That's what came out yesterday. Well, hundreds of thousands of people liked it. That's a meme that went all around the net yesterday. May the 4th, May the 4th, get it? May the 4th be with you. Like that. Anyhow, still talking about the situation in Vuwani and Malamulele. The community is protesting about the possibility of two municipalities being merged. There are tribal issues at play. People aren't happy. 17 schools and another building have been burnt to a cinder, and the backlash on social media has been quite harsh. Shane Tlantla says, but the burning of schools doesn't affect the government, but the kids who are supposed to be gaining knowledge there to be better leaders. #Vuwani. Yes, Bill Gates says, after what happened at Malamulele, he thinks the demarcation board should have handled the Vuwani situation better. No, we just should be burning stuff. Magusani Mwanzule says, Gazankulu was divided into different municipalities, cross-cutting linguistic and cultural boundaries. Yes, we're in a multicultural society. D says, right now, if we were to go join the Malamulele municipality, we'll have to pause our projects and help build the new municipality, talking about the hashtag there, that is Vuwani. That's the social media trends and most views right now. Let's take a look at the front pages from around the African continent. Now, we'll start in Zimbabwe this morning. The Chronicle reports that the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is set to introduce bond notes to curb money flying out of the country, while a raft of measures have been put in place to promote the widespread use of multi-currencies to resolve the current cash shortages in the country. Then in Zambia, the Post says, former President Michael Sata Sanmulenga yesterday stepped down as Lusaka province minister and further resigned from the ruling party, saying he has left the PF to the hijackers. Interesting what's coming out of there. Then finally, we'll close off in Nigeria. The Daily Trust reports that the federal government has set out 34 strategic priority programs and projects that it intends to achieve, beginning with the 2016 budget. That's the newspapers around the continent. Very interesting. Now, next, we're going to talk Mojo. Those of you who don't know what Mojo is, we've got the SABC News' own Mojo leader in the house. His name is Njanji Chake, and Elvis is sitting by to talk to Njanji about Mojo. He's just come back from a trip overseas. I'm sure it was very cold in Ireland, but let's have a listen.
That's right, Eben. Mobile journalism, Mojo, is taking newsrooms across the world by storm. Now, the advent of smartphones and tablets are redefining that we as journalists gather, process and distribute news. Now, it's for this very same reason that more than 700 journalists from across the globe met in Dublin in Ireland recently to discuss mobile journalism, or Mojo.
The world-famous Aviva Stadium. Normally the scene of big rugby matches, it was recently used as the venue for the biggest mobile journalism conference in the world. It was hosted by Irish TV and radio, RTE. Mojo is the use of smartphones and tablets to gather, edit and distribute news. It's a fairly new concept in most newsrooms. Its evolution can be traced back to 2005, and some journalists are loving it.
It makes things easier and more accessible, so the stories are easier to tell. It's easier to take pictures, it's easier to take videos, and since it's not, phones are not as heavy as DSLRs and stuff, you just get them from your pocket and you can do it. And people are not afraid of them. So
it's not intrusive.
Not intrusive, not intimidating.
A range of products are flooding the market, and software developers and designers are constantly coming up with mobile journalism solutions.
The helium core was the fact that I was a professional videographer and photographer. But when I travel for personal trips or casual trips, I found that I was lugging my heavy equipment around with me, and I ended up using the iPhone. And I wanted to create something that would allow me to swap lenses, add lights, add accessories very easily.
I'm going to have a pit stop at the start of the river. We'll walk along.
Journalists were assigned stories in the vicinity of the stadium. Practical way to test and refine their Mojo skills. And as for the old school newsroom, the reality is that the modern viewer is more sophisticated.
The problem is people are slowly stopping watching that box in the corner of the room because they're effectively able to get all that content on this. And they don't have to wait until the evening news at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to get it. They get it pretty much as it happens.
Journalists returned home much more inspired and ready to capture and tell stories the Mojo way. Janji Chauke, SABC News.
Now, the man of the moment is right here with us. Our senior SABC journalist, Janji Chauke, was one of the delegates in Ireland. He joins us now. Very good morning to you, Janji, and welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Did you get your mojo?
Yes, I always have my mojo, man. I always have it.
Tell us about the conference. How did it go, and what were some of the outcomes from the conference?
Yes, it was the second time that the conference was being held in Ireland. It only started last year, and the idea behind the conference really is to encourage more journalists to try and use other technologies to gather, process and disseminate their news. As you know, for instance, in a broadcaster such as the SABC, we're still very much traditional. We still use our P2 cameras and all that. And mostly you find that journalists cannot go out on stories because all the cameras are actually out on other assignments. So if we've got a kit, a Mojo kit around, a journalist or a producer can pick up the kit and go and cover the stories.
So talk to me about this evolution of Mojo and how it happens, because you brought a couple of cameras here with you, or not actually cameras, the equipment that goes with it. Talk us through that, and how does it operate?
Yes, basically mobile journalism first started as what we call solo journalism. Back in the day, we used to have journalists that will take their DSLRs or their cameras, they'll go somewhere in the world, do stories on their own. And then it evolved over time with the advent of smartphones, and there are also applications that are available on the market at the moment, such as editing, filming, as well as transmitting applications that you can use to capture the news, edit on-site, and depending on broadband or the availability of Wi-Fi, you can be able to send your stories from anywhere in the world. For instance, 3 days ago when I was leaving Dublin to come back to South Africa, I was actually editing my package whilst I was traveling to the airport. In the bus, there's Wi-Fi. Fortunately enough, some countries are well developed. Everywhere you go, there's Wi-Fi. You go to the bathroom, there's Wi-Fi. You go to the shopping mall, there's Wi-Fi. So I was able to edit my package, and as soon as I arrived at the airport. As I was checking in, I was connecting to our FTP here in Johannesburg, and I was sending my package. So as I took off from Dublin, I was relaxed. I knew that my story at least is out there in Johannesburg. But what we have here, I started in Mojo using the iPad.
Yes.
This iPad of mine is about 3 years old. I've bought some applications. Some of the applications are free. Some of them you can buy them as little as 24 Rand or 50 Rand, you know. I bought, this rig, I bought it in the US. I bought it online. It's about 3,000 Rand. It's called the Iographer. And then I also have the Lumi light here, the sun gun, what we normally call the sun gun. Because you want to ensure that when you get your picture, the lighting is proper as well. And then, but I've since upgraded my latest toy that I've just bought. I call it the Beast Grip. Yes. This has always been a dream toy of mine that I've always wanted to get. I used to dream about it, you know. It's called the Beast Grip. It's also from the US. What I like about this grip is that you can use any phone for that matter. It's universal. It doesn't restrict you as the Iographer, where you can just use the iPad or the iPhone S Plus. Here you can use any phone. You can just adjust it. And I've got the Rode mic here, and I've got my mini tripod. But
is that adjustable? Can you?
No, I can mount it into a longer tripod, but which is light. Because the idea about mobile journalism is that you have to be as light as possible. You can have your kit in one bag, in the other bag you've got your clothes, and you can go anywhere in the world.
Is that the size of it?
Don't be deceived. This is not a lunchbox from my wife. As most people
what is in that lunchbox?
That I always carry a lunchbox.
Yes.
Well, I thought I'm doing mobile journalism, but when it comes to sound, I'm not going to compromise. Because you can have the greatest picture, but if your sound is bad, you may as well delete those pictures. So I'm using the Sennheiser mics, which I can rig to my iPad or my Samsung so that my sound is very crisp.
Yes.
Because my experience has been that previously I was using earphones. Because with mobile journalism, you can actually use your earphones as a microphone.
I tell you.
I was using, but the quality, I was not that happy with it. So I've since upgraded by investing in a pair of Sennheiser microphones.
Well, that looks absolutely fantastic. But why does a public broadcaster like the SABC need to invest and go mojo?
You know what? There's so much content that we're producing as the SABC, especially with now we're going on DTT. We're going to need a whole lot of content. And then the cameras that we have are not available. SABC every year, we're hiring new camera people, but the demand is still huge, you know. There have been instances where the newsroom team have come to me, because I'm also an assignment editor, requesting a camera, and we find that all the cameras are out. So imagine a situation where the rig was available, you just give it to the producer to go and film. Anyone can actually film. You don't have to have...
Citizen journalism in the making.
It started as citizen journalism. We know with the Arab Spring, the revolution was on social media. They were tweeting it. They were broadcasting it live on social media. That's how it started. So here we are as a broadcaster. We must embrace mobile journalism.
Njanji, thank you so much. And we'll hear a lot more from you around this issue about Mojo. That is mobile journalism. And you'll see a lot more about that here on this very same show, as well as on the other channels. So you have to stay tuned to your favorite channel. This is Channel 404 on SABC News. That's Njanji Chauke in studio with us. Well, let's go now to the weather to find out how hot or cold is the country with Philip, the weatherman, the weather doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, as we take a look at what's going on in terms of your weather for today, first of all, we're going to take a look at Southern Africa. Now, in terms of your rainfall, we're really not expecting anything throughout South Africa's interior, or indeed throughout South Africa. Namibia, as we move through to Botswana, no rainfall whatsoever. Just a little bit of rainfall forecast in the far northern regions of Mozambique for today, as well as, of course, Madagascar. The capital there, Antananarivo, receiving rainfall for today. And into tomorrow, similar conditions present themselves, although once again, just seeing that rainfall along the far western coastlines of Antananarivo and the surrounding areas there, and the far northern regions of Mozambique. In terms of your temperatures for today, we're expecting about a 24-degree maximum forecast for Pietermaritzburg there. Cape Town's at about 24 degrees, and temperatures ranging through the 20s all the way throughout South Africa there. Getting up into the 30s as we move further north, and of course it is getting warmer and warmer towards Central Africa, and this is where we're going to see a lot of rainfall for today. No surprises here, but we are seeing the concentration of rainfall really around the interior there. Specifically, though, around Juba receiving a fair amount of rainfall forecast for today. Into tomorrow, that begins to concentrate itself a little bit further west from Juba, and of course we're going to see rainfall continuing all the way throughout Brazzaville and the Congo and into the central regions of Central Africa as well. In terms of your temperatures, seeing very, very warm conditions again presenting themselves all the way throughout the the western coastline there. Moving further and further east, we're going to see Kigali peaking at about 25 degrees, temperatures into the 30s as we look in towards the rest of the far eastern regions of Central Africa. In towards the far northeastern regions of Africa here, we're seeing that rainfall continuing all the way almost to Khartoum, but not quite getting to Khartoum for today. A very dry one there, and a dry one all the way throughout the interior. No surprises. But what we are going to see is a little bit of rainfall coming in towards Baghdad, Tehran, and the surrounding areas. This is brought in by a lower pressure system, which by tomorrow is going to continue to move from west to east, and of course that's going to bring in quite a bit of rainfall into tomorrow around Baghdad. Once again, Damascus expecting rainfall into tomorrow as well, and we might even see a little bit of rainfall around the Khartoum area, but that will be very, very light rainfall, if any at all. In terms of your temperatures, very, very hot in Khartoum. A 43-degree maximum there. Al Fajr, it's about 46 degrees. It is going to be very, very hot in the interior of North Africa there. Towards Baghdad, expecting a 22-degree maximum for today. Mecca's at 41, expecting a little bit of rainfall. West Africa expect rainfall as well. We're expecting that along the southern coastlines around Abidjan. Lagos just missing out on the rainfall forecast for today. But into tomorrow, we're going to see that rainfall continuing, rather into tonight, we're going to see that continuing, and it might just make its way towards Lagos and dissipate by tomorrow. By tomorrow, though, we're going to see interior rainfall throughout West Africa. In terms of your temperatures, this is reflected for today. We're going to see warmer temperatures along the southern coastline in the interior, around 31 to 32 degrees. The interior there, 46 degrees in Niamey. It's very, very hot there. Of course, we expect warm temperatures continuing towards the west coastline as well. But take a look at that far northern coastline there. A little bit of rainfall coming into the area, quite a lot of cloud cover, and that's all the result of that same lower pressure system which we see passing by. Now, this is where I leave your weather for now, but do remember that you can always contact us with your feedback. Weather at sabc.co.za is where you can email us. Otherwise, give us a call, 011 714 5077. That's where I leave it for now. Stay tuned.
News Today keeps you informed with news locally and around the world.
When Judge John Hlophe challenged the Supreme Court of Appeal when it sent the matter back and said that there must be an inquiry set up.
We unpack business news.
There's an increase in general inflation in the country.
We give you up-to-date news of the day.
The drugs were seized at several locations in Sydney, including a shipping container sent from Hong Kong. Police saying it's the largest haul of illicit drugs in 2 years.
We round up sports news.
Kosatsa, tell me about the legacy that you would like to build and be remembered for.
Trying to get my foundation running, which is going to focus on, all the sport, doesn't matter disability or able body. So, I'm passionate about sports.
Stay informed every Monday to Friday from 3 to 5:30 p.m. CAT. SABC News.
It's Thursday, the 5th of May, 2016. This is Newsroom on SABC News, Channel 404. If you've just joined us, Jumbo Africana. A very warm welcome to the final hour as we broadcast from our Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg to the rest of the African continent. I'm Elvis Preston. I'll be with you until 12. And as you know, we're also streaming live on YouTube. The entire show is available on our YouTube channel. Question of the day, we focus on the more than 500,000 boys that have been hospitalized due to botched traditional circumcision since 2008. Now, that's according to a 2014 report of the CRL. So we're asking you, how do we prevent another deadly circumcision season? Send us your comments on our Twitter handle at SABC Newsroom. You can also like us on the Facebook page. If you like us there, you become part and parcel for here on Newsroom. But right now, let's take a look at your news headlines. President Jacob Zuma will reply to the debate over the presidency's budget today following interruptions yesterday. The Clon Board of Inquiry into National Police Commissioner Ria Piega's fitness to hold office is this morning expected to commence with the cross-examination of Captain Monwabisi Mslati. And 4 Limpopo MECs will meet with representatives of Vuwani residents in Toyondo this morning in a bid to end the violence in the region. Those are all your headlines, but before we get to the news, let's find out from Kendall what's happening on the sports front.
Elvis, good morning. Thanks very much. This is what's happening in sports. It's a big day for the PSL. Mamelodi Sundowns have done it, but I get ahead of myself once again. Good morning to you. This is what we've got for you in the sports today.
Billiards, Lafort looking for the hat-trick! Lafort gets the hat-trick! And the most successful club in the PSL area extends its record.
Mamelodi Sundowns win a record-extending 7th PSL title, beating Tuks 3-0, courtesy of a Lafort hat-trick.
Zinedine Zidane has led them through to the Champions League final, and they will face Atletico Madrid again as 2 years ago. It will be the Madrid derby in Milan.
Real Madrid edge Manchester City at the Bernabeu on their way to the UEFA Champions League final. And Djokovic eases into the 3rd round of the Madrid Open with a straight sets victory over Coric. It is a special day indeed. We'll be back with sports, more of that, and a whole lot more other sports stories at 11:30. Back to the main desk for the news.
Thank you, Kendall. Our top story this morning. President Jacob Zuma will reply to the debate over the presidency's budget later today. Yesterday, he announced government's intentions to boost the economy and plans to address challenges facing the youth.
Key positive attribute for the country at this time is that government and business are working together more than any other time to find ways of reigniting growth. As part of efforts to reignite growth and build a better life for all, we have also been vigorously implementing the 9-point plan that I announced in the State of the Nation address last year. Energy is high up on the agenda. During last year's presidency budget vote debate, our country was facing an acute energy challenge. We have made remarkable progress since then. Government has also taken concrete and direct steps to encourage youth employment and training through public employment programs. On June 16 last year, we launched the Maramento Youth Online membership scheme, pairing young entrepreneurs with CEOs of companies. We are encouraged by the uptake we are encouraged by the uptake. By April 2016, over 340,000 young people in our country were being mentored by 269 mentors.
The president's budget vote was meanwhile marred by disruptions from opposition parties. EFF MPs were thrown out of the National Assembly after they tried to prevent the president, Jacob Zuma, from opening the debate on the budget vote of the presidency.
The presidency's budget vote got off to a rocky start. This after EFF MPs tried unsuccessfully to prevent President Zuma from tabling it.
There's prima facie evidence that the president has violated the constitution.
But the speaker shot down the EFF's request. When things had calmed down, the president kicked off his speech by focusing on the country's economy.
We have taken concrete measures to reduce the negative impact of the global economic downturn on our economy and to prepare for robust growth when the economic cycle turns positive.
Referring to the gloomy global economic climate, he said government had taken concrete measures to reduce its impact on South Africa. The ruling party agreed with the president about the state of the economy.
Your calling, Honourable President, is at the time when the socio-economic situation in the country and globally is complex, depressed and depressing.
Democratic Alliance leader Musi Maimane was in full attack mode.
We cannot support a presidency budget when the president refuses to take responsibility.
Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa agreed with the president about the economy.
In his State of the Nation address in February, President Jacob Zuma called on all sectors of society to work together to address the economic challenges that we face. And he said, we cannot change the global economic conditions, but we can do a lot to change the local conditions.
Ramaphosa says the overriding concern of all government social partners is the creation of jobs. Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.
Now, in news abroad, the United States and Russia have reaffirmed a cessation of hostilities agreement in Syria moments before the UN Security Council met in an emergency session. It follows fierce escalation in fighting in the cultural center of Aleppo.
A city in ruin, as opposing forces, be they government, moderate opposition or terrorist groups, battle to gain ground in the city.
While the dead are still being counted, while medical personnel are trying to save lives and tend to the injured, we can already estimate that hundreds of civilians have been killed or injured, including dozens of women and children.
The countrywide cessation of hostilities has effectively faltered in Aleppo, denying civilians access to essential services like water, electricity and healthcare.
Through his actions, Assad has shown that he has no commitment to a political settlement, no commitment to bringing peace to Syria. It has never been clearer. There cannot be peace while he remains in power.
Syria's government, backed by Russia, accused some council members of hypocrisy. The United States underscored the need for all three elements: a stop in fighting, humanitarian access and peace negotiations to work in tandem. Sherwin Briceby's SABC News, New York.
Lily gold mine workers in Barberton have embarked on a protest action over unpaid salaries. The workers have blockaded the road leading to the different mines in the area. Last week, the mine failed to pay its workers their monthly salaries, only paying them 650 rand. The mine was recently placed under business rescue. That follows a collapse in February, which left 3 workers still trapped underground. Joining us now in studio is Rob Devereaux. He's a business rescue practitioner responsible for sourcing funds to rescue Lily Mine in Barberton. Rob, a very good morning to you and welcome.
Good day.
Rob, first and foremost, tell us about the current situation at Lily Mine. The trapped miners are still trapped, and the workers, did they get paid already?
Yes, in terms of the trapped workers, the mine collapsed on the 5th of February, and mine management embarked on a strategy to retrieve the container. The mine has been declared unsafe, and part of the business rescue plan is to develop a new decline. That's an entrance. That entrance will then take about 6 to 8 months to develop, and during that process we will access the container, or seek to access the container.
Now, the issue of the workers not being paid 650 rand, how far is that issue, and what is going to happen now?
Yes, after the collapse on the 5th of February, the mine was obviously rendered obsolete. We're not in a situation to generate any money. So workers were paid February, they were paid on March, and during that period the mine has just developed no revenue. So I'm in the process of raising money. I'm speaking to the government, I'm speaking to private institutions, as well as the shareholders, to raise the money, and certainly see that as a priority in my life.
How is the negotiations going in terms of looking for that money?
It's going slow. I have, however, got 2 institutions very interested, and we're talking about that in the course of today. I've also embarked on discussions with the shareholders.
What is needed? The amount of money needed to, one, pay the workers and basically to get the mine up and running again, if that is the case?
Yeah. The salary bill for the Lily mine is approximately 10 million rand a month. So we need 10 million rand. In terms of reopening the mine, the requirement is 200 million. That allows for working capital as well as the ability to reopen the shaft.
Now, immediately after the mine collapse, promises was made that the workers will each receive 50,000 rand, and their families of the 3 missing miners will each receive 200,000 rand. Was that promise made good on, or is that still the case?
That promise was made prior to business rescue. That is certainly included in the business rescue plan, and we will address that as and when the need will be.
What now for the workers that is currently seeking some sort of compensation while you're still negotiating with potential investors?
Obviously, it's a priority to raise the money to pay the workers, and that is something I'm going to endeavour to do. Part of the business rescue plan is to embark on 4 projects. So the first project will be to open the mine. We will deploy people there. The second project is there's a sister mine called the Barbrook mine. We will deploy people to Barbrook, and there they will obviously be employed. Barbrook also has a mine dump which we will recycle, and that is the third project. And that recycling process will employ people as well. And the final issue that we're addressing is we recognise that in the valley the unemployment or the closure of the mine can create disruptions in terms of social environments. So we, together with government, are embarking on an upskilling and training program using the CETAs, and that I had a good discussion with government yesterday, and we will roll that out as soon as we can.
I'm not too sure how true this is, but apparently there are some investors that are willing to invest, and you are speaking to other investors as well as government. Are you very optimistic about getting the investment in as soon as possible in order to start the processes that you're referring to?
Yeah, I think the mine, as it stands, has a 10-year lifespan. So it is not a mine that is in rescue because of mismanagement. It was an operating mine. So understand, we had an operating mine, we had a collapse, a calamity, the mine stopped, and all we need to do, I say that glibly, but we need to get the mine back to its old production. So it's not a result of mismanagement or market changes. So it's a rescue that is doable. In terms of investors, yes. Obviously, person investing this kind of money would require to do their due diligences. So, they don't part with the money that easily. They need to make sure that their investment is safe.
who are some of the investors that you think will come on board?
I think that's something one can't really discuss. We signed confidentiality agreements, so those are the things that we'll work out in the process.
Rob, all the best of luck, and I think it's a tough call, hey, at this point in time, and all the best of luck to you and the mine.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
That was Rob Devereux. He's a business rescue practitioner trying to get Lily Mine, and he's responsible for sourcing the funds to rescue Lily Mine in Barberton, and let's hope that all goes well. It's for the best of the community and the town. Well, we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back after that.
News Today provide news updates giving a wealth of knowledge. Breaking stories and crossing live for you. We follow business developments intensely. Experts and analysts tackle all challenging issues for you. We cover stories locally and abroad to keep you informed. We cover all sporting codes just for you. We are sure to give you weather to be ready for the day. Stay tuned to News Today at 3 p.m. from Monday to Friday on SABC News.
Our eyes are the window to the beautiful wonders of the world, but blindness enhances other senses. Technology has made living with blindness easy.
If you look on the side here, it's got like grooves in there. Yeah. So the first one after when it comes together will be 20 Rand, 50 Rand. And if I slide this in, I can see according to the grooves, it's now on 50 Rand.
To Steve Kekana, blindness was never a hindrance, but a blessing.
You got to know that you are the child of the universe, being blind, and you've got the right to be here.
Join your host, Dr. Sello Mutawun, every Saturday from 9 a.m.
Hello again. Very good morning. 17 after 11. Time for us to take a more regional look at the news this morning. Now, representatives of Vuwani residents, they're expected to meet 4 Limpopo MECs in Thohoyandou this morning in a bid to end the violence in the region. A total of 17 schools have now been set alight in the area as the protest action there continues. Residents want the Municipal Demarcation Board to reverse its decision to merge parts of Vuwani and Malamulele to form a brand new municipality. Limpopo Premier Stanley Matabata has appealed to Vuwani community leaders to bring calm and restraint. He's condemned the destruction of property as well. An inter-ministerial team has now been appointed to address residents' concerns there. Roads leading to Vuwani and Mashau remain barricaded at this time. Now, for the latest on this story, some call it a disturbing story because of the damage. Let's go to Thohoyandou, where our reporter Pelani Pachari is standing by. Very good morning to you, Pelani. How are you today?
I'm very well, and yourself, Evan?
I'm always good, but it seems as if the situation is not so peaceful. Is things improving? What's the latest? What are the people saying around Vuwani?
Well, even in the last few hours, we haven't had anything at Vuwani, or the roads are still barricaded. There's still a heavy police contingent in the area. So we haven't been reported of any incidences which may have occurred this morning.
What would you say is at the heart of the concerns? We've got lots of different points of view. There are other dynamics that are put in the mix. As causing all the mayhem, and is there a way forward?
Indeed, it's a lot of views on what may be going on at Vuwani. So we have really have to try to dig deeper actually to find out the root cause. But however, at this stage, if you can allow me, Eben, I am joined by Puti Selova. He is the spokesperson for the Limpopo province. Perhaps he could shed light on also about the interministerial meeting which is going on right now as we speak, where they are going to try to reach an amicable solution to end this. Mr. Selova, if you could may please tell us about the meeting which is held in here, and how do you plan to solve this problem?
Yes, today we have the interministerial task team, which is comprised of the 5 provincial cabinet MECs, and the team is here to meet with all the stakeholders. Firstly, we're meeting the stakeholders in the district of Vembe, and then after engagement with them, together with them, we'll then start getting local, getting deeper into Vuwani and engaging all the stakeholders so that we can find amicable solution. The immediate thing now is to stop the violent part of the protests, and later on we'll then engage further into harmonizing issues, relationships, and ensuring that the situation in the area there goes back to normal.
Is it by any case that you are going to, from here at the meeting, that we see that the panel which is here, maybe going into the Vuwani area to see for yourself, perhaps even try to engage tribal authorities?
We will be engaging tribal authorities in Vuwani. We've been engaging with them. Even this morning we've been talking to them. But at the moment we are engaging the stakeholders at the district level so that we go down as a unit to engage our other colleagues on the ground, particularly the leadership of the community, the traditional leaders, the church leaders, the traditional healers, every stakeholder. Hence you see us having started here. We can't be sure now that, because that will be going to Vuwani. We don't want to preempt the discussion, but we are confident that we'll be going deeper into the area to ensure that there is a smooth resolution of the situation.
Yes, thank you, Puti Selova, the provincial spokesperson for Limpopo. That's it, Eben. He's talking about perhaps trying to talk to the tribunal authorities in Vuwani to get ways of which they could in Vuwani.
Thank you very much. Pelani Pakhari coming to you live from Thohoyandou. It is, of course, a story that's on everyone's lips today. Some people simply cannot believe that that is the case right now, that so many schools are being burnt because residents are unhappy with their municipality. Of course, today we dealt with something a little bit different. We asked some questions. There's some live tweets. We dealt with male circumcision, initiation season, about to get underway, winter initiation season. That's the question we put out to you, our viewers, today. Yeah, some of the responses that we've had, as you can imagine, it is something that people don't really like to talk about, but in the social media age, these are some of the comments that we've received. Now, Unati Grootboom says, SABC Newsroom, put more police in all the provinces that are affected. If only it was as simple as that, Unati. Then, Iko Nanazo says, SABC Newsroom, allow the chiefs to own the custom and give the parents their rights of parenthood, not children who will later die, says Igona. Yes, there are lots of different dynamics within this. Then Zenzile Kubeka says, SABC Newsroom, it's quite simple. Keep the boys warm, let them wear shoes instead of walking barefoot. That's very interesting. I really like that. That one from Zenzile Kubeka. Don't keep the boys barefoot in the winter. That's a wonderful idea. Maybe we should put that, maybe we should send it on to Obed Bapela. Anyhow, we live in a very interesting time in a wonderful country. Now we shift our focus to the Northern Cape. Now the ANC in that province is confident of winning all municipalities in the province in the upcoming local government elections. This includes 4 municipalities that are currently under the control of opposition parties. The party says thousands of its members are expected to attend this weekend's manifesto launch there, to be addressed by the party's Deputy Secretary General, Jesse Duarte. Now, we are joined from our Kimberley studios this morning by the acting chairperson of the ANC in the province, Mr. Kenny Moimang. A very good morning to you, Mr. Moimang. How are you today?
Good morning, and let me also greet the viewers of SABC.
That's fantastic to have you with us, Mr. Moimang. It's a big weekend ahead for you guys down in the Northern Cape. Manifesto launch coming up. Tell me what preparations are in place. You seem in a bullish and confident mood ahead of this weekend.
Indeed, as the ANC in the Northern Cape province, we have put in place the building blocks towards a successful provincial manifesto launch. For the last 3 weeks, we have been crisscrossing the province, mobilizing our supporters, our members, to be part and parcel of our provincial manifesto launch. This week, we have mainly been focusing more on Solplaatje and Fransbart region, with a view to ensure that we get maximum participation from local people. But there are transports arranged from our 5 regions: Namakwa, ZF Ngau, Don Talakhaitsewe region, Pixley Kaseme region, and Fransbart region.
Now, Mr. Moimang, you are very ambitious this time around. You're talking here, straight talk. Your plan is to control all 31 municipalities. That's the target. No questions asked. How are you going to achieve this? What's the plan?
Definitely, we started working on our plan with the 2011 local government election, having relinquished control of those 4 municipalities. What we then did, one of them, Namakwa, local municipalities, we were then able to seize control of that municipality following the by-election that we had in one of the wards. And with the outcome of the provincial and national general elections, we did quite well in all those municipalities, to the point that all of those municipalities that were not under our control, we surpassed 50%. So therefore, the ground is ready for us to take control of those municipalities. Indeed, we are not only just taking control of those municipalities, there are building blocks that we have put in place. One, the fact that we are talking to our people in terms of advancing people's power, in terms of ensuring that all those 32 municipalities remains in their hands. Not only just that, but we have a look at implementing and also localizing the 2016 local government manifesto that was launched by the President of the African National Congress. It has 11 key issues that are critical towards ensuring that as the ANC in the province, we are then able to use those 11 issues as a springboard towards seizing control of all those 32 municipalities.
Now, Mr. Moimang, there are some challenges. Every province has unique challenges. You're dealing with Eskom debt as one in some municipalities and service delivery protests in others. Are you happy that you've got a handle on these, let's call it, simmering unhappiness within the province?
Look, I mean, necessarily in our province, we do not have major protest. All our municipalities are stable. It's informed by the extent to which we are able to impress upon our councillors to be able to do basic things under Back to Basic program. We have said that it is important that the interaction between our councillors and our communities is improved through strengthening the ward committees program, through strengthening the ward committees themselves, through ensuring that there is monthly meetings between our councillors and our communities. Secondly, we have also impressed upon them to ensure that the issue of good governance is taken to its rightful target in terms of ensuring that meetings take place as expected, committees are functional, the interface between the political wing of the municipalities and the administrative wing is improved in terms of ensuring that there are no tensions We have also impressed upon them to ensure that what is critical for them is the issue of municipal financial viability. And we can say without any fear of doubt that there has been tremendous progress in terms of turning the situation around. Indeed, our districts have been performing quite well. Our two districts, ZF Ngau and Fransbart region, they have been receiving a clean audit in the last 2 successive years. We have also seen a turnaround in terms of our 5 big municipalities. Only one is struggling, but the other 4, in terms of Namakoi, in terms of Mtanjeni, in terms of Karahais, in terms of Solplagi, they have been doing quite well. And also, there's also a reduction in terms of all those municipalities that got disclaimers. We have noticed and observed a reduction of numbers of municipalities that got disclaimers in the past, and moving towards qualification, and also improvement in terms of municipalities moving from qualification to unqualified. So therefore, as the ANC, we are quite impressed in terms of what municipalities are doing. Also, the issues that we have impressed upon them to do is to ensure that we fight corruption. And that's why we have said that the manifesto correctly speaks to our target in terms of ensuring that there is a code of conduct that our ANC councillors must sign. Not only that, but also in terms of the issues of performance agreement. But what is quite critical is the extent to which, as the ANC-led municipalities have been able to broaden access to basic services in terms of access to water. We have achieved a percentage of 95.5%. In terms of access to electricity, we have achieved 88%. In terms of access to sanitation, we have achieved 88.5%. And refuse removal, we are at 64%.
Mr. Moiman.
And housing, we are doing quite well.
You're doing fantastically well, and I wish you all the best the weekend for the manifesto launch, Mr. Moimang, but I have to leave you, run out of time. Thank you very much for joining us. That is the acting provincial chairperson in the Northern Cape, Mr. Kenny Moimang, giving us a heads up there ahead of course, an important weekend. It's, it's election year, building up to the elections in August. That's in 3 months' time. Now, less than 3 months' time, now manifesto launches, of course, all around the country in the Northern Cape. That one is happening over the weekend. Time for us to take a break. When we come back, Kendall Mahamate will give us the sports news. So, don't go away.
Vera Ephraim defied family and traditions to follow her dream.
Decided that I'm going to prove to them that they were wrong.
The first breakthrough came in when she was studying and touring in Europe.
That was my first breakthrough.
Generations was her first television debut in South Africa.
It was my first gig. I was very excited. I was very happy. I said, yeah, this is confirmation I'm at the right place.
After pain, rejection, and suffering, her dream became a reality.
I followed my path, and I'm happy and grateful and blessed.
Join your host, Wileng Mulabati, on Rupilong every Friday at 17:30.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsroom. My name is Kendall Makamat. I've got your sports. Top story. Mamelodi Sundowns have been crowned the 2016 Premier League champions following their convincing 3-0 win of the University of Pretoria at the Tax Stadium. The Brazilians sealed their second league title in 3 years with 2 games to spare.
And by the way,
Lock leaders Mamelodi Sundowns took on cross-town rivals University of Pretoria looking to clinch the championship. This comes after Bidvest played to a 2-2 draw against Mpumalanga Black Aces at the Mbombela Stadium on Tuesday night. In contrast, the second from bottom Amatax to welcome Sundowns, looking for positive results to strengthen their relegation survival. However, it was the visitors who got off to a great start with Anthony Lafaux breaking the deadlock inside the first 3 minutes.
Bounces over that line, and it's the...
From there on, it was all about Sundowns, with that man again, Lafaux, doubling the Brazilians' lead.
Anthony Lafaux gets the brace.
The away side picked up where they left off in the first stanza, threatening the goal mouth early on in the second half. It was not long, though, before Sundowns took complete control of the match, with Lafaux completing his hat-trick.
Lafaux looking for the hat-trick. Lafaux gets the hat-trick. 3 for Sundowns.
Former Orlando Pirates striker Lennox Bactela had a chance to pull one back for his team, but his effort went wide.
Picks up and kills it just wide.
In the end, there was no stopping Sundowns from claiming their 7th league title since the inception of PSL back in 1996 and 1997 season. Sundowns coach Pitso Msimani becomes the second coach in the club's history after Ted Dimitru to win 2 league titles with the Pretoria-based outfit. Joseph Mohali, SABC News.
Now, with this second title in 3 seasons in the bag, Mamelodi Sundowns can now set their sights on creating history.
Billiards. Lafaux looking for the hat-trick. Lafaux gets the hat-trick. 3 for Sundowns.
The champs have been crowned. After the final whistle at the Tax Stadium, the Yellow Brigade couldn't hold back as they invaded the pitch in an effort to celebrate with their heroes. The expensively assembled Brazilians are on the verge of breaking the 16-team PSL record of 69 points in a season. Sundowns currently sit at 65 points after 28 matches, and if they win their last 2 matches, they will finish the season with a record 71 points. Coach Pitso Msimane is a man of his word.
We deliver